I would just like to officially welcome everybody to this workshop. I'm Julia and I'm the creator of Thrivers, and this is particularly even more exciting than usual because it's the launch of a new Thriver class series in wealth, wellness and work. So it feels really good, and I saw that a few of you are new to Thrivers. Amazing, and welcome. Just to tell you a little bit about Thrivers, what we do. So we have the inspiring interviews where we interview incredible women and find out exactly the adversities that they overcame and the risks they took to really live the life they want. And you can see them, we publish them every other week. And then we have these amazing, empowering Thriver classes in wellness, wealth and work. So we always start with wellness because it's so important for us to come back and make sure that we are well. And then we partner with experts such as the amazing Dimithu Pereira, who we have today, to teach us and give us the tools to thrive in our lives, and the same in our wealth and in our work. So I'm thrilled for you to be here. I have a disclaimer. So with all these sessions, this workshop should not be used to address or replace any specialized training of a mental health care professional. If you do need help, please do seek a qualified professional, and I'm going to put in a Lifeline link in the chat. So before I introduce the amazing Dimithu, I just want to check everyone is familiar with Zoom. So we have this awesome platform for us to really connect with the expert, and so you can all get the most out of it. We're just going to check that you're all happy using that. So there is a little icon. There's two icons at the bottom that you can utilize here. So one is the chat icon, and that means that you can talk to everyone on the panelists. You can throw up there whatever you like, say hi. And the other one is the Q&A icon. Now, if you click on the Q&A, you will see as a little box that turns up, and these questions just come through to Dimithu and I. And this is where you can ask us your questions. And if you want, you can ask them anonymously as well. We want you to feel as there's no judgment here, and this is a safe environment to ask anything you like. So let's just have a go and see if everyone is happy with using this platform. So can you tell us where you're from? I know we've got people calling in from multiple countries today. So yeah, just tell us where you are, and yay, so we've got someone from Butley in England. That's amazing. And we've got someone from Sydney. Hi, Sydney. Hi. That's really, okay. So I think we've got a lot of people. And Port Macquarie. Hi there. So, and New Zealand. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Hi there. Right, so you think you're going to be really happy using both these things. So if you've got questions yet, throw them in the Q&A, and we're going to try and answer them for you later in this session. So now over to Dimithu. She has joined us today, and she is a transformational coach, and she is the founder of her company You Inspired. Hi Dimithu, welcome today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do at You Inspired?
Yeah, sure. So You Inspired is a transformational coaching company, and I'm a transformational personal coach. So I work with both children and adults to help them affect change in their lives. Transformational coaching is about helping someone not only get over a struggle, but to understand exactly why they're feeling like it's a struggle in the first place. So this means going much deeper into their thoughts and their feelings and their behaviors. And then the magic happens when, you begin to unravel and learn more about you and how you work, which is the most empowering thing that can happen to help us live happier lives.
Thank you. That sounds amazing. So today we are unleashing your authentic potential, and it's a topic that's actually really, really important. So I'm really glad we have you people that have turned up today, because when Dimithu and I were talking about all the many topics that we could cover today, something that Dimithu talked about was identity, and how we can reconnect with that through our authenticity. And that was something that really resonated with me, because 2 years ago I was in a job where I was very very stressed and exhausted. Actually, I lived for my work. I wanted to do an amazing job. And I thought as long as I could keep my managers happy, then I would be happy. And I lived like that for a long time. So I would save myself for work, and there wasn't really a lot of me left. And then I stopped doing the stuff I enjoyed. Even at the weekend, I didn't have any energy for that. And actually I lost motivation. So I really wished I had this kind of session we have today, so I could have kind of identified earlier that I wasn't really being authentic or true to myself, and that was actually making me very unhappy. So you must experience this, Timothy, through your experience. What kind of things have come up for people, or why would they want to come back to their identity and their authentic self?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing your story. And I know so many people can resonate with that, including myself. So, and people experience things in different ways because we're all unique individuals. So, this session you and I talked about was about two main things. It's you really understanding who you are, and it's about two, you understanding how you express it. So, as you were saying, how do people struggle with this sort of authenticity, and what do they experience in their lives? Just like you said, in their careers, unhappiness, in their relationships, maybe just small things like the motivation to get up in the morning, or, the anger they might feel at the traffic in the morning. There's big things and there's little things that people struggle with. So this session is about helping you connect with people in more authentic ways. How can you maximize your potential? Like, wouldn't it be great if you knew exactly how you need to do what you need to do uniquely? So then you don't have to put it off, the fulfillment. You don't have to put it off until you get that next promotion, or until you have your next baby, or you find the perfect partner, or you pay off your mortgage, or you retire. You can take back the control of your own happiness out of the hands of your partner, out of the hands of your family, your boss, the government, Mother Nature. We've given it all away subconsciously to imaginary people even. So this session is all about that.
Okay, brilliant. So you're going to tell us a bit more about it with some slides, and then we've got some activities. So I'll hand over to you, and I'm actually going to do them myself. So enjoy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we're going to connect with you and figure out how you authentically do you. Okay, but before we get into it, I'm going to say that this session isn't going to give you all the space and time to do all of it. However, it will get you started. So good on you for taking this time to focus on you right now and to get this right for you, because you will reap the benefits of doing this. Now, before we jump right into it, I do have a few requirements from you. So first of all, please get up if you need to and close that door behind you. Tune out your family, the noise from your regular Wednesday evening, and allow this time to focus on you. Maybe you need to put on some headphones or grab a glass of water, get comfortable in your seat, close the other tabs you have opened on your computer, because this time is for you. So thank you and well done for choosing to spend the time wisely on you. As we go through the questions, I will pause so that you have time to think and write, but please feel free to interact with me throughout the session by typing into the chat box, and Julia and I will try and get to them throughout the session. If you want a more personal response, please connect with me via email after the session. The chat will be anonymous, so you don't have to worry about us sharing your name when we ask your question. Finally, this is a judgment-free zone. Judgment comes from a place of, I know everything, and we judge ourselves quite harshly based on exactly this. And this really gets in the way of learning anything, which is what you're here to do. So take away the judgment you have on yourself, leave it outside behind the door, and open yourself up to learn something new and amazing about you. Okay, so pick up your pen and paper. I am going to share my slides. So who are you? How would you answer that question, honestly? Do you answer that by stating a role you play? What popped into your mind? Was it, I'm a wife, I'm a partner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mother, I'm a manager? Or are you tempted to answer it by a feeling you feel? I'm tired, I'm lonely, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, or I'm happy, I'm excited. Thank you for thinking of those, but they are not what we're after right now. When you look at yourself at the moments in your life which light you up, the moments, you have that deep self-gratitude for yourself and pride in yourself, what are the positive qualities you would describe yourself with? Now, these are your authentic qualities that I'm referring to. So I am. What would your mother or father say if I asked them what they loved about you? If I pulled them into a room and I asked them honestly, what's the one quality they love about you? What do you think they would say? What would your partner or your family say? Your friends? Should I pull them aside and ask them what they appreciated about you truly? So some of these words might be kindness, your helpfulness, generosity, fun, creativity, your determination, your open-mindedness, your focus. I'd love for you to come up with 5 or 6 qualities that deeply resonates with you and write these down. I'm sure you think you know your values really well, and maybe you do. But I wonder how many of them are you living through? You might think your value is patience, but how many times have you lost it today with your partner or your employees? Are you aware of how often you miss the mark? Do you know why you feel deflated after an interaction with someone? Has it got something to do with your authentic qualities? This is where we all miss the opportunity to maximize our potentials and to build an authentic connection, because we get caught up in behaviors that don't really fulfill us. And this is the purpose of this exercise. Now, for the purpose of today and the amount of time we have, I'd love for you to just pick one quality that truly resonates with you right now that you can work with. So the authentic quality which lights you up, makes your heart sing, fulfills you, and gives you a deep sense of self-appreciation. What is that one? Write it down. Does anyone want to share theirs? Have we got any responses, Julia?
I can share mine.
Yeah.
Oh, well, mine is positivity. I feel that's my strongest one. I feel very happy and lit up when I can be positive. And we have got a few come through. So we've got loving, kindness, motivated, helpfulness, adventurous.
Beautiful. Thank you. Great. Great words.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, what evidence do you have of this authentic quality in your life? So what do you have to show for it? Is it a memory? Is it a person? Maybe a song, a story? Results? Write them down. What pops into your mind? And the third question is, the people who have benefited from me living this authentic quality are. Who are the people that have been on the receiving end of you being this? Maybe there's one, maybe there's many. Write them all down. Like with many things that's important in our lives, we attach emotions to experiences too. And a lot of the time we use these emotions as indicators of whether we're on the right track or are we on the wrong track. Have we missed the mark? Have we hit our goals? So it's really important to understand what emotions we have attached with our authentic quality of choice. So I want you to complete this sentence. Being your authentic quality makes me feel your emotion. So for example, there's being kind makes me feel happy. Being generous makes me feel calm. I want to remind you at this point that we're maintaining the judgment-free zone. This is about the time when our conscious mind starts to judge. We need to gently push that away and just be honest. I wonder if anyone's ready to share a little bit more on what they've got written, or what they've come up with. My example, I'll share, my authentic quality of focus right now is being helpful. It really lights me up like nothing else. I feel like I've built my family and my whole career around it. And I spend all my free time learning more about it and practicing it more. And I've attached a feeling of fulfillment with this, and it just drives my behavior. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like, we've got someone saying being kind makes me feel useful. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like I notice now when I can be more positive, because before, when I was in a job where I wasn't that positive, my conversations weren't really authentic or didn't make people around me very happy. And now when you're positive, you can feel that energy in other people. That's infectious. So
yeah, they connect with you differently, don't they?
And someone said being creative makes them feel calm, productive, and positive.
Wonderful.
Creativity is amazing. I think everyone has got creativity, but if you aren't, when you're a really creative person, if you're suppressing that can be hard. So yeah. Being adventurous makes me feel fulfilled in life. Yeah, outdoors.
Fantastic. I'm gonna just bring it back to us again. Thank you for sharing. Those are fantastic. So we'll move on to the second factor, which impacts our fulfillment in our lives. These are our motivations. It's how we approach our life. And now this doesn't mean, how we're approaching just the big areas of our life. So like career, family, relationship, health, hobbies, but it's also the little things, like morning traffic, hunger, conflict, feedback, bad coffee. How do we approach these? How we motivate ourselves through these different things in our lives play a massive role in limiting our potentials or maximizing them. So now let's imagine being forced to do something you didn't want to do. You can feel it in your body, can't you? The thought of it, the loss of energy, the resistance. So let's think about getting out of bed at 4 a.m. What's the general thought that comes into your mind? Probably like a massive groan. You can almost imagine an imaginary person dragging your lifeless body out of your comfortable, warm bed. And you can imagine yourself resist as hard as possible. And as you physically resist, you can hear the thoughts, right, that support this. Thoughts like, do I really need to get out of bed? It's so comfortable in here. I could wake up early tomorrow. And you can also imagine the feelings that go along with this resistance, you know, the frustration, the tiredness, sadness, anger. But then you fight it in your mind and you motivate yourself. You say, you can do it. This is good for you. Let's get a coffee first. And you push through the resistance and off you go. Getting up at 4 a.m. was a massive effort, but like a champion, you did it. Now, imagine what would it be like to do that thing without the resistance. You know, your alarm goes off. You put that alarm on the night before with very good intentions. So trusting yourself, you get up and off you go. No drama, no resistance. I'm not saying it's fun and you won't need that cup of coffee, but the outcome is no different regardless of the resistance. So resistance is the cause of unhappiness and suffering. You know, it's an unfulfilling, low quality motivation strategy many of us have implemented without much awareness. And it's probably lingering around in some areas of your life. So I wonder what yours is. I'm going to take you back to some slides. Can you relate with her? So what is your motivation strategy for with resistance? Like, do you create an illusion of resistance to make a mountain out of a molehill? Then what is your molehill then? When you think about an area of your life that possibly requires you to build up your energy levels, stress levels, anxiety levels to behave through, you know, maybe it's leaving things until the last minute to get them done. Or maybe it's the constant worry about things in the future. Maybe it's the reaction you have to the morning traffic on your way to work. Maybe it's how you connect with your friends through gossip, complaints. What is your molehill and how do you know it's there? So in which area of my life, your life, or what specific example do you have where you resort to low quality resistance strategy consistently as motivation? What's popped into your mind here? Is it something that's seemingly small, but you do resort to it consistently? Or it's something a little bit bigger and you see a pattern? The next question to think about is, as you're doing this, what thoughts are you entertaining? What are you thinking when you're going through this pattern or this strategy in your life? And the third question is, what emotions do you connect with when you're doing this? So what are you feeling in your body in this scenario? Are they the same feelings as what you feel when you think about your authentic qualities? You know, someone said to me recently, high stress is the key to high performance. The harder the struggle, the sweeter the victory. Push through the barriers. You know, we've heard those before, haven't we? The motivation to achieving something must be with high struggle. And then we create this illusion that the more resistance we have, the better we will feel when we break through it. This might be true in some cases, you know, pushing ourselves physically and through pain. However, do we really need to have resistance all the time to achieve our goals? Can we still achieve it with ease and grace?
Timothy, could you provide an
Yes.
example?
Do we have some questions?
Yeah, could you just provide an example for these 3 points on what someone
Yeah,
could put? Or I could tell you what I've
sure.
put and see if mine are good
Yeah,
examples or not. I'm not sure. So
great, go for it.
this seems really small, but I really dread calling new people for the first time.
Mhm.
I don't know why. It's so easy to email, but sometimes you do need to make the call, and I do stress about it. And you said what thoughts I'm going through. You kind of, I dread it and I feel inferior. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be interrupting their important day, and I'm not good enough to be calling. Sometimes they're quite, you know, in my head, they're really high up, and so all
Yeah,
these these critical thoughts, and yeah, I dread it and I get stressed, and it's really silly though, but I do it. So yeah, I'm wondering
yeah.
how I can turn them around.
And then what are you feeling? What are you feeling, Julie?
So I feel stressed, and then I don't know, feelings, like I say, I procrastinate, which makes the feelings of stress longer. Like
Yeah,
fear.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. And that's a nice little one that you probably do a lot, like especially considering the role that you're in at the moment in your career.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing
me too, you
how
know, I have,
yeah, sorry, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
it's
how much I email, I need to call more. So sorry,
so we'll be
what
expecting more of your phone calls. Yeah, so another example, you know, I just noticed it myself, is that I seem to, this might not sound funny, but I seem to play down how important something really is to me when somebody gives me that feedback. I'll make a joke and I'll actually just sort of brush it off. And internally, you know, the thoughts, you know, if I wanted to be really helpful, in fact, and I get some opportunity to do that and the feedback comes, I think I entertain the thoughts of, well, you know, it's not a big deal, you know, it wasn't so much effort, you know, all those sorts of thoughts to make me feel smaller. And the emotions I connect with, instead of feeling uplifted, I, you know, go into the emotions of, you know, there's a little bit of sadness and a little bit of uncertainty and disconnection. And so it's a bigger strategy that I've noticed I play in my life too.
yeah,
Do
does
we have any
anyone
more?
else?
Anyone want to?
Yeah, because I think that is a little bit of a tricky one. So I mean, the first
Yeah,
question,
absolutely.
which areas of your life, or has anyone got specific examples that they feel this resistance, whatever it might be, whether like mine was calling people, or like, you know, getting stuck in traffic, all those things. Does anyone have examples that they can share? So someone said decision making. I seek
Mm-hmm.
for efficiencies. So then,
Yeah.
so that can be frustrating. So that's the thoughts, frustrating thoughts, and spending a long time
Yeah,
deciding.
let's get specific on those frustrating. It's really good to get really specific when you answer these questions. And I completely understand this is a very short workshop to get through some really deep stuff, but you've started. So when you say, for example, the thoughts are of frustration, be specific. What are the frustration? What is it actually saying in your head? I can't do this. This is happening to me again. I give up. Are those the sorts of thoughts? Or, you know, are they like, I should have, I shouldn't have, I could have, shouldn't have put my hand up in the first place to do this? You know, those sorts of thoughts. And then what are the emotions that connect with that? Maybe you feel deflated.
Very personal as well. So I know
I
would have had ones where I used to dread having conversations with my boss and would put it off and off. And then I'd have thoughts of, he's just going to hate what I've done, and then the fear. But then I go in and it'd be great and he'd be really happy. And then all of that stress was for no reason. But
then it gives you this really incredible feeling of relief.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? That was, you know, in hindsight, unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everyone happy with that exercise? Just let us know at any point if you want to more examples.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll move on to the next slide. So, you know, I wonder what would happen then if you know, this motivation strategy that we have, we replace the resistance with our authentic quality instead and use that to drive our motivation. So what if we changed our strategy and replaced it with your authentic quality? So think about the one that you picked for this session and think about your scenario and answer this question. What would change for me if I used my authentic quality of choice as my motivation strategy instead? So instead of Julia's resistance strategy, for example, in calling people that she's not, you know, she's not friendly with yet, what if she used her authentic quality of positivity to approach that? How would that change for her, that scenario change for her? The second part is, when you've done this, what thoughts would you entertain then? What kind of thoughts do you imagine would flood your mind if you changed your approach? Would they be more motivating? Would they be thoughts of connection? They be positive? Would it feel more like, you know, a pull rather than a push? And finally, what emotions might you feel if you do this? So instead of the nervousness or the sadness or the fear, what emotions might you feel instead? Would it be more excitement? More determination? It's interesting. We learn this sort of self-sabotaging motivation strategy at a really young age. I was working with a 13-year-old girl who was sent to me due to her high levels of stress. And as we were discussing the role, you know, stress plays in her life and whether she was ready to change it, she said, not really, because although it's not very fun, it helps me get things done. You know, how many of you can agree with that? Gives us an illusion of how much we're actually getting done. Anyone experience burnout?
Mm. In reality, you saying that, so I've got down, I'll just share my examples, and please feel free other people if they want to share theirs. So I was thinking, actually, I love talking to people and I would feel great because I'd be connected to a new person, which is how I always feel after the call anyway. So I don't know where I dread it. It seriously is a waste of energy and stress. And if I change that, I would actually defeat the emotions I would feel. I'd feel excited and happy because I'm about to make a real connection instead of just through a text message or an email. And that person, they're just not going to pick up if they're busy. They're not going to hate me for calling them, you know? And so I can look forward to this call because I'm about to make a new connection. But are you saying that if we approach things with more positivity and more positive thoughts, that we'll have more energy for more things? Because actually the opposite is more draining.
Absolutely. And especially with your example of the phone call, you know, you're just focusing if you're driving it through resistance, you're focusing on just getting over it, getting over your fear and getting over all the feelings that you have that are negative towards it. But when you use your authenticity to drive this, you truly connect with someone on a different level. It's more than just getting over your feelings. It's actually you focusing on them really, and really wanting to connect with them and get to know them more and grow. The first strategy is really limiting. It's very limiting. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to us. I believe we've run out of time, unfortunately, but well done. And thank you for taking the time to do this. I hope you found it interesting and eye-opening for you to start looking at some of your motivations and behaviors. I encourage you to keep going with what you've started without judgment. Just work through your other qualities, really identify them, and look at some of the unresourceful behavior patterns in your life so you can start to slowly shift them. Now, I guarantee you that making these small changes through your own self-awareness is going to benefit you with your connections, with your careers, and your sense of fulfillment and potential in your life.
Definitely. And so we've got a nice amount of time for some questions if people have some around this. And I mean, I really liked what you were saying before, how we think sometimes to achieve things, we feel like there has to be this huge struggle. But we can change, it doesn't always have to be a struggle. But feel free to bring your questions. I'm just going to start off with, so what if we do have reason from past experiences, like when we have a bad, we're dreading a meeting, for instance, because in the past we know that person may have been a bit hard. How, in that situation, how can we stop ourselves from going to that kind of stressful, dreading place when we don't really know the outcome, but just based on the past, we think we do?
Well, so when you're doing that, you're really just going into a story, aren't you? You're going into a story of what's happened in the past and letting that really drive your actions, your motivation for the present moment. And it's not going to serve you. So the first step would be to really understand and identify what you're doing. You're again using your old stories, bits of stories, probably not the whole story, probably not all your memories of overcoming meetings. There may have been meetings that you've, handled really well, but this story feeds this motivation of, building up that anxiety to overcome something that's potentially difficult. So bringing some mindful awareness to what this story is doing. Is it uplifting you? Is it helping you? Or is it limiting you? Did that answer that question? I hope so.
Yeah, that's really, really great. And someone said, what are some techniques to implement authenticity to turn them into habits?
Good question. Turn them into habits. I think the best thing is, first, once you understand them, is then the first step would be to become aware of them. And the smaller the change that you make, the better it is. So that's why I brought up some examples of, morning traffic or how you get out of bed. Those are small ways, those are small examples of us playing the same strategy. So when we start to make changes in those small areas of our life, that's controllable, that's, predictable almost, then you'll start to see that it becomes automatic. Your thinking, the amount of time you spend in resistance becomes shorter and shorter. And then it starts to filter into other areas of our lives.
Okay, so we have another question. Do you notice a difference in other people around us if we start changing our resistance? Or how can we get loved ones to do the same?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, you definitely will, because your behavior changes. Your conversation changes. How you engage with your loved ones change. It's false to think that we can get anyone else to change, including our children, including our partners. But if you can be the leader in this space, focusing on you, then there will be an impact and there will be a ripple effect.
So a question just back to the beginning. Someone said, what should we do if we're struggling to find lots of things that light us up?
Yeah, good question. There are a few things you can do. Give yourself the gift of time and space and ask yourself a different question. Before you get to what are the qualities, maybe it is, what does it feel like for me to light up? Because sometimes it's just an imagination. We don't really know what it is. We haven't spent the time to really identify what that means to us uniquely. And then when you start to do that, then you will be able to come up with the qualities that actually light you up. So it's taking it a step behind.
Yeah, I think especially in our really, really busy lives, and sometimes you can put your own needs last. It's when you're creating space for yourself that those things that kind of float in. Because I know when I pulled back from my work, and there were things that I realized that I never would have if I'd stayed being really busy and filling time, filling every day of the week up with stuff, even if it's seeing friends. It's actually that time for yourself is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how can, then that's exactly, so going on that, someone said, how do we make room for things in our life if we are so busy with work, family, friends, etc.
Yeah. So, busyness is a resistance strategy too, isn't it? The things that light you up are qualities you use to connect with these areas of your life, like your work and your family and all the other things. It doesn't need its own time. It is right then and there. That's what you live through. And the more you become aware of that, the more it's going to filter into all areas of your life.
So if you, feel free to, anyone wants to add on to any of these questions, otherwise I'll just add on what I'm thinking. So what if there are areas which you think you need to make space from, or they weren't aligning with you? Like in my example, I realized my work wasn't really lighting me up. It took a long time to realize that, but should you give it time, or is there a time you should realize you should start looking? I don't know, those big decisions of what to cut out or what to keep.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a big question because, you know, what is it about? I mean, we could take that into such a level to ask, you know, what is it specifically about your job that you weren't happy about, you know, and what is it in your authentic qualities that wasn't being met? How is it that you couldn't be authentic in your career? What was lacking? And those are some things we can go back and explore. So in answering that question, it is really, I think, understanding what it is that you want, not exactly what you want to cut out, but what is it that you want? Asking that question gives you a different quality of answers, rather than, you know, taking away.
Yeah.
It's limiting. Yeah.
Yeah. And even, I mean, can that come down to like people that you're surrounded by as well? If you feel like some people, or just noticing how people make you feel, noticing the ones
Yeah.
that make you feel energized and great, and maybe people that, I don't know, critical or.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, I think a better question to ask yourself is, you know, what is it that I'm communicating subconsciously that allows people to connect with me in this inauthentic way? I imagine that's what you were alluding to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, are you being authentic? Are you being your authentic self at work? You know, before you decide to avoid people or cut people out, you know, people around you, I wonder if you could use this observation as your feedback, you know, and observe how are they interacting with me and how does that interaction change when I change?
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, so got another question. How do we best adopt values that we don't necessarily have right now? Say we wanted to be more confident where we aren't so confident now.
Right. That's interesting. You want to be confident, but you aren't confident now. That's a really good question. I think that's a really big question. I would challenge this person to really get clear on what confidence means to them. Again, clarity on what that is. You want more confidence. What would that look like for you? If you feel like you have low confidence, what's the evidence of that? I believe confidence comes from not doing things. It's having more self-awareness, knowing how you work, knowing what makes you happy, knowing, you know, how you approach things, and understanding how you work and how you respond to your emotions, really brings your self-confidence up. So spending some time to really clarifying those sorts of things, those sorts of words, confidence, lights me up, values, that's really important.
Yeah, I think confidence is a big one.
Yeah, it is.
I know I've struggled with it in the past, and yeah, I think the more I found, yeah, aligning things with more that I enjoy, I naturally felt like then I was meeting circles of people, they kind of changed. And those people around you where you feel you can be yourself and not have to hide and not have to put on a front. You know, some people I found that in the past, you find yourself without even realizing it that you're actually bit like they call it a chameleon, where you're being someone else to please them, and then when you're away from them, actually you realize that was quite exhausting being around them. And it's like a new relationship, you know, in the first few weeks or whatever, you may be wanting it to work so much you're actually being someone else. Then when you're actually yourself, things aren't quite going right. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I recognize it as being when you're around your circle of people who you can just be completely yourself, you know, your crazy self. We all have a bit of a crazy self, and people still love you around it. Then I think you know, really thrive in that space. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's how you've attracted those people into your life too. Was it being the fake you or the real you? And, you know, being the fake you makes it exhausting to keep up, just as you said. So to build those, you know, long, deep relationships and connections with people, it definitely does mean connecting with them through your authenticity.
Yeah. So we got Want time for one more question. Someone said, I love this strategy and thank you for sharing. I'll definitely try and use this. Though I feel like there are people who I work with who are less than authentic. Should I actively avoid them, or should I, it's, you know, as a corporate, in the corporate environment, how do you suggest dealing with that?
Yeah, I think it would be the same as the question a couple of questions ago that was asked. You know, look at what you're putting out there that allows these people to connect with you in this way. You know, you have to always take it internal and say, well, am I being authentic? Am I being inauthentic at work? And then using these observations from these people around you, taking that on as feedback, and then, you know, using it as an experiment. Change the way you are, be more authentic, and see how they change in their interactions with you. Maybe they'll just drop off naturally, which is okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Dimothy. And if you are interested in working with Dimothy, she is actually going to give away 2 45-minute sessions. And you do Skype sessions as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And I've just posted my email address. So Dimothy is going to give those sessions away to the first 2 people that email me and tell us what you enjoyed most about today. And then we're going to let you know tomorrow who's got those sessions. And for everyone else, Dimothy's actually kindly said that everyone's going to get 10% off her coaching, which is amazing. Thank you, Dimothy, for that. Just say you come from Thrivers. And feel free to reach out to have a look at what Dimothy does. I'm just going to put her website link in there and Dimothy's email. So again, if anything came up for you today and you want to have a deeper dive, then they're welcome to email you, aren't they, Dimothy? That's all right with you to email and get in touch with anything.
Yes,
or how
absolutely.
you felt about today's session. Dimothy's a lovely person. So I wanted to say, yeah, thank you for everyone so much for coming. That was really, really great to have you all here. And as a gift to all you amazing attendees, I'm actually going to give my next 2 sessions to all you guys for free, which is in wealth and work. The wealth workshop is going to be amazing. The topic isn't the most attractive. It's strategies to lift debt, but it's with an amazing financial advisor, Nicole Hills. And she is actually an award-winning financial advisor for women. She just focuses on empowering women with their money. And whenever I listen to her, I learn something. Finances aren't something I've always paid great attention to, but I realize every time I speak to her, I learn something. And it's not going to be about, debt's very confronting, but actually she's told me that so many more people have it than we realize. And it's not the ugly side of it. It's just gently coming to terms with it and seeing how we can feel more empowered about it. So that's the next workshop, which is next week. And then in the work one, it's optimizing your career success with Liz Floyd, who is a global acquisition specialist. And I know that she's actually a gun for finding the right talent and placing it. She's in the top of her industry, so she knows what to look for. So she's going to be covering all sorts of things like you want to change jobs, how to nail the interview. She's even going to give her scripts to sometimes it's just about getting a coffee and going in the back door. There's so many people applying for jobs that she's going to give us lots of tips and tricks on how to get that dream job. So that's the week after. So yeah, you guys have got those sessions for free. And if you can't make them, you can actually give your link, which I'm going to supply you, your unique link to a friend or a family. If you feel that they can benefit from that, then yeah, please bring them along, because the more people, the merrier. The more we can empower, the better. So yeah, we're going to be letting you know about these 2 spots. And I'm also going to be sending a little feedback form. So if you could just have a quick 2 minutes then to fill that out, that would be really great. So I hope you all had a really good session. We've got some feedback. Thank you to people that come. Very interesting points to work on. Someone else has said that they think it was a really interesting perspective. So thank you, Dimothy, for sharing that with us. Someone said they love the crazy Jules. Thank you. Yeah, I find it hard to be anyone else. So, and yeah, lots of thanks there. So that's really awesome. And I'm so glad that you all enjoyed the session. And thank you so much, Dimothy, for coming here today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.